Welcome to my kitchen. This is Dana Tries It. Okay, so I picked a theme song, and I still need to work on the intro. I think the next video will have an official intro, but I'm getting there. Okay, let's go inside our recipe box and see what the recipe is for today. Today's recipe comes from natashaskitchen.com. We will be making shrimp ceviche tostadas. I'll break down ceviche, I'll break down tostadas, and then we have these awesome ingredients here today. Just to give you some background with this, I have made this recipe before many times. So it is something new-ish that I have tried, probably in the last 7 or 8 months. So last summer, and I'll probably do a video about all this and kind of lifestyle changes and stuff like that as well. But this past summer, my fiance was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So we had to really change our diet. So this was something that I looked up and was really tasty. It had a lot of vegetables in it. It had protein and it was low calories and pretty high nutrition. So I have made this recipe before, but there's 2 different ways that you can make shrimp ceviche. You can use raw shrimp or you can use cooked shrimp. I prefer cooked shrimp just because it cuts your time. So ceviche is basically a way of cooking something raw using lime juice. In order to do so, you would chop up your shrimp, raw shrimp, and you would put in your lime juice, leave it marinating for about 1.5 to 2 hours. So just think about that. The recipe also says that you can use cooked shrimp, and in my opinion, it takes a lot less time. I mean, you're literally cutting out 2 hours of the first step. Technically going to cook it with the lime anyway, so why not use cooked? I'm gonna start with marinating the shrimp and using the lime. I'm gonna show you how I cut the shrimp and then how to start marinating it. This, using cooked shrimp, you're going to leave it for 15 minutes, way less than 2 hours. Okay, so let's start with the shrimp. Again, I use cooked shrimp. Now, be careful. I still cut the vein because, oh, I had a good example. That's awesome. You can still get the vein in there. Okay, so now I just cleaned my shrimp in the sink. I just gave it a rinse. It's nice and clean. I'm gonna show you how I chop it up. So I basically do pretty small bites. Let me see if I can get a little closer to you. There you go. I'm a one-woman operation. So just small bites. You gotta think, basically, I like to serve this as more of a salsa dish. I know some people who keep the shrimp whole and they'll just eat it like that as a salad. You can do that as well, which is super yummy. I mean, I'm literally drinking the juice at the bottom of this because it's so good. Like, the marinade is so yummy. Honestly, you probably could throw it in with a shot of vodka and make a Bloody Mary out of it. Delicious. All right, so we are going to take lime juice. So we're gonna use fresh limes. Can you use bottled lime juice? Sure, I don't see why not. Probably take some of the work out of it for you. I'm going to make sure pretty much that most of my shrimp here is covered. I probably want to do about halfway. That can vary depending on the sizes of your shrimp, how much shrimp you got in your bag. You can use up to 1 pound of shrimp for this recipe. The shrimp I do buy it frozen and then I thaw it out, is 12 ounces. So this recipe is fine for that. You can give and take anything really in this recipe. It's so versatile and it's literally easy and so yummy. So we're going to take the shrimp and some lime juice. We're just gonna cut our limes in wedges. So I just cut my limes in wedges. I'm just going to squeeze them on top. Usually this takes a good amount. The recipe calls for about 6 limes juiced, and I probably will do about most of these, probably like between 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I have juiced 4 limes in here. You could do more, like I said, 5 or 6. The lime juice in here that goes to marinate the shrimp will be put into the larger bowl, and so it will eventually be a marinade for everything. So you can't go wrong with putting more or less lime juice in here. Next, I'm going to add some pepper, just a little black pepper to season. You're going to be adding salt and pepper as you go, just to taste. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Okay, now I'm going to stir my shrimp. Looking wonderful. Now what you can do is obviously time this for 15 minutes to let it sit and marinate. You can also, like, every few minutes, let's say every 5 minutes, give it a stir. Again, it will go into the larger bowl, so it will continue to marinate once it's in this larger bowl. Usually what I do is I chop up the shrimp, put in the lime juice, salt, and pepper, and then I go and chop my other veggies. So by the time I'm done chopping, this shrimp is ready to go. Next, we're going to chop some cucumbers to add to the main dish. So if you use a smaller cucumber, usually what I do, even if you're using a big one, you could do the same thing, but I cut it into thirds. So I do 2 slices. I do stack them up as well. And then I turn them, and then I cut it into thirds again. So another 2 slices. And then you get a pretty fine dice on it. You can see it's pretty small. This is more of like a salsa dish that you're putting on a taco. In this case, we're going to use tostadas. Okay, so I have some cucumbers already diced. Here we go. We're going to add them into the big main bowl here. And I diced about, oh gosh, 5 or 6 of these little ones. Okay, next we're going to add some diced tomatoes. I used 2 large tomatoes. And you can see I don't have always the same measurements, but I do stick to my tomatoes being pretty much the same amount as my cucumbers. Next, you're going to add in some onion. I chopped up a whole large onion. Usually I use a red onion. Unfortunately, my store did not have any red onions. It seems like onions are still a little hit or miss right now on their availability. So I'm just using a yellow onion, and I just chopped that as well. So everything pretty much is chopped to the same size. I'm gonna mix that in there. What you could do is add a lime at a time. Sometimes I do that, where I put the cucumbers in, I put some lime juice and mix it, tomatoes, lime juice and mix it, onions, and then I'll put another lime in there. But I'm going to do this all at the same time today just because I have everything chopped and ready to go. Next, I'm going to use 2 limes. I'm going to juice these in here. And then what I'm going to do is add some avocado and some cilantro. And then at the end, I'll probably add more of the lime juice and then throw my shrimp in there as well. Okay, so I am finishing up with my limes. I had put 2 limes in here. And the importance of like doing a couple at a time is that I love to salt and pepper everything in between. So I'm going to add copious amounts of salt and pepper. Just like vinegar, salt goes so well with lime juice, and it just kind of brings out that flavor. All right, so then I'm going to stir. Looking good. Okay, so next what I'm going to add to this, actually what I usually add to this is chopped avocado. Now, there are some issues with getting avocados, but I was able to find some mini avocados at my store. I cut into one and it is not ripe yet. It is pretty hard and the taste is a little off-putting. Not in a bad way, but just I didn't want to throw that in here and then be like, So, ideally, you would use a ripe avocado, chop it in here. Next thing I'm going to do is actually chop up some cilantro is what I have back here. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to, I already previously washed the cilantro. I love how chefs do this. They kind of roll up and bunch up the cilantro, and then they just kind of slice. Give it some slices. And then what I'm gonna do is run a knife through this, a larger knife. And I'm just going to kind of chop it. And then I'm going to add this to you. If you are not a cilantro lover, guess what? you don't have to put cilantro in here. You can definitely skip that step. If you like some other kind of fresh herb, you can put that in there. Sometimes I don't put cilantro just because I don't have it. What I'm going to do next, I just put in my cilantro in here. Here's what it's looking like. I'm going to add in these other 2 limes. I'm going to juice them in here. Before I do that, I'm going to go back to my shrimp. I'm going to give it another stir. I've been stirring as I take takes. So basically when I turn off the camera and I reset or anything like that, I've been stirring it a couple times. So maybe 2 or 3 times as it's going through its 15 minutes, or as you're chopping, like you chop cucumbers, give your shrimp a stir, tomatoes, chopping, give it a stir, onions, you know, and so on. So now I'm going to add this with the lime juice to the bowl. Okay, we have one more ingredient to add, and that is tomato juice. So you can use any type of tomato juice. When I first started making this recipe, I used a low sodium tomato juice, so that way I can control how much salt I put in here. And then also I could put it on the table, and then if someone else wants to add their own salt to it, they definitely could do that too. So I'm going to use, today I'm just using regular tomato juice. I'm using 1 cup. You put it right in there. You can also use like a clamato juice if you like. And then I'm going to give that a stir. I also realized I had fresh jalapenos in my fridge, so I'm going to dice a jalapeno, maybe half a jalapeno, and throw it in here. And then I'm going to assemble my tostada. I'm gonna let this sit for about 10-15 minutes just to marinate everything in there. Here's my shrimp ceviche in its finished state. It's marinating. Let's build a shrimp ceviche tostada. All right, guys, we're gonna build our tostada. This is what my shell looks like. So it's a somewhat flat tortilla. If you don't have tostadas, you can definitely make them with corn tortillas. I usually use olive oil and my fingers, and I coat the tortillas on both sides in olive oil. I put them in the pan about 400 degrees and 6 minutes on each side until they're really crunchy. All right, so all you have to do to assemble this is put what's in the bowl here on your tostada. I'm gonna put it on the edge. What I do is also try not to get all that tomato juice because then it makes a mess, but like I said, it is so glorious at the end. And again, you might want to save it as a Bloody Mary mix for the next morning. Okay, now there's nothing left to do but give it a try. Here we go. It's definitely got that sort of tropical taste to it. Oh, another thing I've added to this is mango, diced mango. You could probably throw some pineapple in there too. You can crumble some cheese on top too, some Mexican queso fresco. Sometimes I do that as well. So there's lots of adaptations. Anything you throw on a taco, you can throw on here. Number one thing I love to use is some hot sauce. So I'm gonna add my hot sauce. And I'm gonna go enjoy some shrimp ceviche tostadas. I hope you try it. If you do, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe because also you'll keep up to date with my new recipes. Another video I definitely like to do, March is coming up and I'm doing some fun St. Patty's Day cookies you can make and bake with the kids. And then I also want to do a video just about our journey. We've changed a lot of things in our diet. And I really want to share that with you. Some recipes, things we've changed throughout our day, things like that. So please, please subscribe so you can keep up to date with that. As always, thank you so much for hanging around. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to comment about something, please drop a comment about the recipe. Thank you to natashaskitchen.com. And I will be seeing you guys soon with some more recipes. Have a great night.